Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today I'm going to try and make some proper progress to the Lego room, and I'm going to focus on this central block here. Well, you would not believe the number of different comments I had from last time when we placed the Brick Cross station into its new home, all about the order of the modulars and how I should do things differently. A lot of you weren't very happy with it not being visible front and centre from all positions. So what I decided to do was try out as many of your different suggestions as I could, and as you can see by it all being back where it started, I don't think many of them were that good. So we'll go through a few of those in a minute. But first of all, I added some extra wood in here, basically some of the leftover shelves from building all of my units, not following the instructions, having pieces left over, and each of those are supported by kind of useless wedge plates and so on, which happens to be 4 bricks and 4 plates high when added to the width of the shelf to bring it up to the regular road level, because this is going to be the deep marina with the Chinese floating restaurant, the surf shop and so on, and then boats all the way up to here, so it'll be a lot longer right next to the Grand Prix, which will be great. And then we'll have a new 2x2 area here for something brand new. So that will enable me now to do all of these different combinations much more visually, because it was before it was basically on different levels and we didn't have the road. So there we go. That is how the road pattern is going to look, and that is a lot more interesting than a great big straight one. I think you'll agree. So this is where the racetrack's going to be, with the racing cars coming out of the wall and then going around here through a kind of chicane, along here around this corner, and then back in there, just so they don't dominate the city entirely. And it seems that me and Lego are in absolute sync again. They're releasing loads of race sets and racing cars, Formula One and soapbox derby sort of cars, and all sorts of things that I could use in this setup. So yeah, we are completely in tune. And they've also announced in the last week the new modular for 2025, being the Tudor Corner 10350, which is absolutely gorgeous and completely in the character of my city. I mean, wow, what could be better? So yeah, a UK-based pub, come what else is in the watchmaker or clockmaker and haberdashery. I mean, wow, it would be brilliant in my city and really needs to be front and center. So now we have to actually include that in our thinking as well. So I think that needs to be front and center, and the bank is probably the one that's going to get relegated, but that, as you will see, is not a problem. So yeah, the main comments from you were basically bringing the entire new station and putting it here instead of the hotel and car park, and that would mean that the cafe was sort of tumbling onto this street rather than that one, so we'd still have the best sort of angle visible. A lot of people don't like the car park because it's a bit of a sort of clunky, great big ugly box, and that's exactly why I like it. It's kind of very incongruous. It's very built in a different age. It's very sort of boxy and nasty looking. So yeah, that's what I think British cities look like, to be honest. So yeah, I kind of like it sandwiched in there. And I also like the fact that we're going to have people on their balconies looking at the racing cars. But anyway, I tried the station there, and it's just really low rise, and it's kind of even more apparent. You've got the sort of height there, height there, height there, even lower, and it just doesn't work. It just, I don't know, it looks kind of exposed. Here it's much more nestled in and looks much more historic. Another idea was to mirror this entire block. So basically everything on the left would be on the right and everything on the right would be on the left. Now that means that the station would be here, which means we'd have the cafe buried right behind there and we wouldn't be able to see it unless I built that setting mirror as well, which is not something I'm prepared to do at this stage because, well, that would take absolutely ages. And also it'd mean that the road sort of curved in a bit here, then went along here and went straight in there, which means we'd almost be surrounding this one base plate there, and I didn't like that idea. It was squidging everything too far this way and not making it open at all, because I still want to get a sort of old market square probably on this base plate here as well. So yeah, I don't think that one really works either. For people who don't like the car park, I did think I could move it long term to, well, a completely different area of the city. Maybe put the Birch Books sort of half modular in there, but or even do my own half modular, who knows. But, you know, I think it's fun. I think it just screams sort of modern UK city. So yeah, I like that. So so what did I do then? So we've ended up with basically the same setup as we had last time. So what did I do? I recruited Mrs. Hood. I very much value her opinion, and she usually either gives me confidence to go with what I thought or comes up with something slightly different. So I showed her a few of the combinations, and she kind of liked the current one. But there was one that she liked more, so that's what I'm going to show you next. And when I showed her it, she was like, yes, definitely that one. So that involves moving the brick bank to make way for the Tudor corner to here. And essentially I was going to have kind of a middle modular, if you see what I mean, facing this way and having its backyard in the sort of alley that is sort of down here from in there, around there, and sort of going up to there. But instead, if we have a corner one, then essentially we'll have a continuation of that alley behind here. And best of all, rather, we'll have a lovely alley visible all the way through here, which just looks fantastic. So that is what I'm going to show you next. All right, so this is the Mrs. Hood configuration. And you'll have to imagine this is Tudor corner, at least it will be from January. And there is the brick bank, which does need to be on part of this run because, well, it's a big imperious looking bank. So yeah, very important indeed. But it's no one's favourite, I don't think. So having it tucked kind of side on at the back is no big problem for me, at least. Being opposite the boutique hotel, yeah, makes a lot of sense. Now, my favourite part of the bank set was always the laundrette. I just think it's really fun, and I really like these sort of window prints and all the rest of it. So it's a bit of a shame that that's been lost down an alley, which will be really hard to see once this is built up. But again, it does make sense, because when it was here, it was kind of on the front run of, well, the entire city, and it would be quite a low rent business, but with a very high rent location, which doesn't make a whole heap of sense. But when it's over here, we've got the bank with the prestigious address on the main street, and then we've got the laundrette just round the corner on kind of an alley. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, if we angle this wall-mounted clock so it's kind of above the alley now, and I guess that was installed and is maintained by the clockmaker in the new set, of course, and we have the old style lamppost from the Brickcross station in the centre of that alley, I think it's a really good view. It really sort of draws the eye and makes you think, oh, what's down there? And I think it would be historically maybe a road that used to exist when this station was born, and maybe these two buildings didn't even exist, and well, now it's kind of the remnants of a much more grand street of the past. So what I think I'll do is probably change all the tiling in here, maybe move that pattern sort of in front of the door or something like that, and have cobbles, so a really old street going all the way through there, all the way round past that light and kind of past the back of the new modular, because you have to remember that's going to be there, and then coming out here and then maybe turning a little bit and meeting the road, so it's a really different angle. And in that sense it'll be very much like the ones I did before in the old city for the old town, which I'll be doing again actually, probably about 3 or 4 times the size, but a lot more cobbles, and that just makes it look very different and historical with lots of sort of curves rather than all straight lines of a modern city. So yeah, I like that a great deal actually. So this is the configuration that I'm going to be going for, and I figure to get this area of the city done, I'm going to focus on each of these buildings on the back row one by one, the station, then the turquoise building, and then the brick bank, to get all of the amendments suggested by you and that I want to put in as well in, and then when we put in the monorail line behind them and all of the pavement and that cobbled street in front of them, we will have a finished district. Well, I say a finished district. We'll have a district that's missing its final big piece, but I can always put the builders there in the interim with all of my construction crew. So maybe we'll do that. And if you missed my haul, this is my new city tour bus with all of the celebrating Olympians from 2012, still celebrating after all this time, and the bus has been changed to Champion, to celebrate all of their endeavours. I just thought that was a really good fun idea of displaying these minifigures which wouldn't otherwise be possible. Cool, right, so yeah, where are we starting? Oh yeah, with the station. Okay, well the station is the easiest of the three, and the first thing is the departures board. I got almost full endorsement from all of you to include my version rather than the one that came with the set. So it includes the Flying Knotsman and Brick Derby, really, on it. So I'm very glad to have that endorsement so I can do that guilt-free. I think it's good fun as well, and it adds to the lore of my city, so thanks for that. It also means I don't have to worry about whether this departure board makes sense or not, and the fact that it's got platform 1 and 2 written on it. I see my station now as being more of a kind of regional loop station where the train comes in, picks everyone up, takes them to the main station to go somewhere more important. So yeah, this has been relegated to kind of a secondary station level, and that's partially because I don't really have space for a second platform either. We've got 4 studs in between the 2 train tracks, one of which is used for clearance on the cargo train, so really only 3 and no way of getting over there in that space. I wanted to maximise space against the wall so we can have some relatively deep facades and, well, action in the main city, of course. So yeah, that isn't a consideration anymore. Another small change was just to move one of the hands off the clock and replace it with a Lego minifigure hand, which I think works. Tell me what you think of that. Slight improvement from the grabber, so a bedoying for you if you suggested that. And then no bedoyings for the next one because, I mean, it was obvious really. Anyone would know that this cafe was far too skinny on the edge here, kind of crammed in. I mean, if it had a modular neighbour, it'd be really, really tiny. You'd have to say, excuse me, about 24 times to get in there. So I've started extending the kind of different style of cobbles out here, and I've got this set up which I can slide into this position for some more of that. I'll press that down properly in a minute, and I'm going to fill the next area as well with a whole row of tables as well. So we've got 5 tables rather than just the 2, and already that's looking rather good. I'm going to use a slightly different blue for my tablecloths just because I don't really have any of this bright light blue, and it is kind of a bit washy colour. So yeah, medium azure looks a bit brighter and nicer. So I'm going to be doing that. Some more railings at the end just to close off the end of the platform from access and, well, yeah, people maliciously trying to get rid of the need to buy a ticket. So I think that looks good. I was 1 arrow sort of head short, but maybe there isn't one on the end. Maybe it just got broken. So I'm kind of okay with that as well. So therefore, I think the station is pretty much done, apart from the street scene of the cobbles and all the rest of it, which I think we'll do at the end. So that is great. I'm also thinking of incorporating a few things into that street scene. One, near a station, you always need a map, the "You Are Here" tile as well, with the green being kind of buried into the grey tile layer, so it just draws your attention. And then also maybe one of my benches. I've got here Cyber Beast, which is technically a massive monster truck, but it could be an energy drink or something, or a computer game or something like that, advertised on that one. Or this one's got the World Unity Festival on the back of it as well, so maybe we'll include one of those as well. So yeah, the station is pretty much done. Onto the turquoise building. It needs a theme really, because at the moment it's just kind of, I don't know, a building. Ho 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 ho, that looks a lot better. I think you'll agree. Look at that. The end of Dark Ages cafe scene spilling onto the street. Very nice indeed. And it's very appropriate because this scene is very typical of real life Nottingham. Loads of places that look exactly like this. So yeah, I like that scene a great deal. And it's much better than another expanse of just plain old light grey. So with the cobbled street coming out here, that and the dark and the light, it should look really interesting with nothing in too much of a quantity. Cool, so that's good. I also did another one of your suggestions, which was just to add one more brick height to the upper floor of the cafe, because it was a bit tight in there before, and I've managed to keep the plant exactly in the same position and so on, and it just makes it a bit better proportioned, I think. What do you think of that? Yeah, I think it works actually. It also covers up a bit of the sort of colour leakage from some of the build on the inside, which was showing before. We just lost a little bit of this profile along here, but we can still see it. So I think that is an improvement. So well done for suggesting that. Here is a Bedoing. Now that's also your Bedoing if you suggested extending the platform basically behind the turquoise house. I've got another section of platform in exactly the same build style, so it continues on from the Brick Cross station, replacing the fences that I started putting in, protecting minifigures from all of the railway lines, so, since I sent an absolute load of it on a recent haul. And then I've put on, as opposed to the back door and steps, a huge advert, because it wouldn't really make much sense if you went out of your house onto a station platform, would it? So yeah, that is a solid wall, and I've coloured that in a little bit with a Heartlake Shopping Mall advert, just to break it up really. That isn't my favourite advert, but I don't want to use my favourite advert facing the wall, and before you think it's a waste even using this one, well, the train cam will be able to see it when we get that running from behind as well. So, okay, now what are we going to do with this building? Well, I had a very appropriate sticker sheet, this one from Emma's Art School, set 41365, which had some dark turquoise stickers, which I thought would be very appropriate indeed. And there is one of them, double-sided on the front there, showing that this is an art school. And we've got the lady coming out with a little hammer to put up her notice about the 8 p.m. class. So I figured this must be a very historic building that was probably taken over by the art school, and they cherish it, and it's just buried somewhere in the city centre. And this must be one of their most famous students, I imagine, being yellow-skinned Vincent van Gogh. I got the minifigure head in yellow skin that was most appropriate in my mind from all the ones available. The picture that he's painting, the Starry Night, set 21333, of course. Now, this scene will be completely hidden down that alley as it currently stands. So if I can't see it, I'll probably move Vincent out further. But I think these big visible signs should make it interesting when you're peering down the alley from the end. And it does at least give it some sort of purpose. Cool, so I will put that into position, and then we can move on to the brick bank, which I'll also be adding more platform on the back of, amongst other things. Okay, working on the bank, we've got 2 steps forward, 1 step back, unfortunately. But yeah, first of all, I wanted to put an advert on this wall because it's very kind of ugly with all these different colours and stripes and so on, and it juts out a little bit from the turquoise neighbour. So I thought that would be good to break that up. So I've put some headlight bricks sideways in there. So I've got 2 anti-studs sticking out of that side, which gives me 2 normal studs on the inside. So I just thought in the bank manager's office I could give him a 2x2 tile with a dollar symbol on it because he's a greedy capitalist. So yeah, that's his favourite picture. But on the outside I can use those anti-studs to take one of these new kind of, well, anti-tiles, sort of inverted tiles with these studs on, 4x8, which I'm going to use as a billboard. And I have made my own billboard for Auto Hall. And how I've done that is doing a bit of sticker surgery, really. First of all, the arrow is just from the car transporter, 60305. But I've also used one of the characters from these extra stickers that I was sent in to make a mechanic be underneath that. And I've just cut him off very neatly to make my own little billboard. So you have to tell me what you think of that. It's a bit rough and ready, but it's good fun. It's all using official Lego pieces, so I kind of like it. So that should go onto there. And then, you know, from this way into the alley, it looks really busy, like loads of stuff's going on and every flat surface is filled. So I like that. It'll look even better with the roof on the bank. But the step backwards that I mentioned earlier is the fact that I didn't realise this was on a tan coloured base plate. So if I'm going to have a cobbled street, which will basically involve some of the base plate being visible with cobbles stuck on top, much like this one, it's going to look rubbish if it's half sort of tan coloured and half dark grey. So I'm going to have to transfer this whole build onto a dark grey base plate, which fortunately I have, but well, it's going to take absolutely ages, isn't it? So that's a job I didn't really anticipate. But anyway, I want to get this city looking perfect. So I'm going to invest the time up front to get everything exactly how I want it. So yeah, I'm going to take that onto the Lego desk, I think, and put on some music while I do that. It's going to take ages. All that tiles. Looking at my subscriber statistics on YouTube, it seems that only about half of my viewers are actually subscribed to the channel, meaning I'm not getting the full exposure and algorithm goodness that I could. So if you've enjoyed this video so far and you want to watch some more, why not hit that button and take this ticker up, up, up and away to 100,000. I mean, if you ordered it now, I'll be on 73,600 or thereabouts. So yeah. Do me a favour and help the channel for free by clicking subscribe. Well, I hadn't planned for that, but now we are on a dark bluish grey base plate, and it was vital, as you can see. I've started off the cobbled street just sort of flaring out towards the street edge, so it looks very neat, and that will continue all the way down there. I don't think I've got enough pieces to do the entire middle section. I think I'll do that end as I have, and then do this end sort of going towards where the man with the luggage is, and that'll look really good. Yes. Oh, it was worth the effort, though. You've got to admit, doing a modular, the least fun part of it is doing all the tiles onto the base plate, because it takes ages and tires your fingers out and all the rest of it. Anyway, I've got a pair of glow-in-the-dark street lamps there. I just changed the bulbs for these glow-in-the-dark ones, because it's really quite fun when you turn out the lights to the Lego room, especially it will be when we've got sort of rows of them along all the major streets. And I'm going to have the tall, more modern street lamps in other sections of the city as well, doing likewise. And then, as opposed to railings on the end of the platform, this time I'm going to put a advert, basically a billboard for the Brick Separator film. This is a double-sided one, so it'll work for the platform and for the street scene. That's from the Palace Cinema set, of course, but I think that will just go on there, and then we've got a really good sort of bookend for our station scene. So yeah, the platform now is, oh, if you can see it, yeah, miles longer. We had 1.5 base plates, and now we've got another 40 studs, so almost double. But that is looking pretty good. Right, cool. So I'm going to start on the other end of our cobbled street, which I think should be quite a fun name, actually. Something like, I don't know, Cutthroat Alley or something like that. But you'll have to give me your suggestions. In fact, often in these sort of instances, it's named after what the profession used to be in the area. So maybe it's something laundrette-based. So maybe it's called something like Clothes Peg Alley or something like that. Yeah, I quite like that, actually. Clothes Peg Alley. Yeah, well, you come up with one in the comments section if you think you can do better, but I'm going to use that as my working title for the alley in the Mrs. Hood setup. Yeah, Clothes Peg Alley. Sounds very old world. Cool, right, let's get on with that, and we can put our pants modular back in its position. Well, the back is looking a lot better now, with that extended platform and the advert on the end. Very nice indeed. And the front is looking pretty good as well, with the beginnings of Clothes Peg Alley. And it will go through there. I haven't got enough pieces, so essentially that's the similar piece, but the other way around there. I'm going to do a similar one there, and then it's going to come along here and join up with the corner of the main street like that. So there'll be a building kind of here, and it will vanish round the corner behind it. So I think that'll look really nice. I've got my "You Are Here" sign in there. I'm going to have about 5 of those spread around the city. I've got another one of my benches there. This is all joined in seamlessly now. Got rid of all the sort of dark tiles around the front. But yeah, I think that's a really pleasing shape. Kind of rickety and a bit, irregular to make it look very old. So we've got kind of the pavement on one side, and then what would have been the road, or what's left of it there, which has since been partially built on. So yeah, I think that looks really good, actually. It's a very, very kind of detailed scene, and I love the view down here from this angle. We'll put the building up in a minute and see that in its full glory. But we've also got these racers. Now, I mentioned earlier that Lego City have released loads of Formula One type racers instead of these ones, which I was going to use. And I don't know. I need a bit of help with deciding which ones to go with, because the good thing about these kind of rally cars, as I see it, is twofold. One, they look a bit different, very bright and colourful, very interesting. None of the builds are exactly the same, but also they look like they'd be able to handle the odd bit of 3D terrain, which is basically crossing loads of rail tracks, because I don't think a Formula One car would be able to do that, not without sort of scraping the entire bottom off it or something like that. So you'll have to let me know what you think of that. The other thing I don't like about the Formula One cars in a way is the fact that apart from the colour scheme, they're virtually identical. Well, because they have to. It's a sport that's very fiercely contested. So, they have so many rules and regulations about what they can and can't do. So, should I have loads of Formula One cars or these ones? Also, there are some sort of soapbox sort of cars as well that look very comedy, that all are little buggies with a sort of hospital theme. There's one that's a toilet theme and all sorts of fire engine theme, and I can make dozens of those sort of going around as sort of a trolley race, but I don't think that is going to look anywhere near as good as full-blown cars. Another idea that somebody mentioned actually was doing all of my stunts bikes, because I pretty much collected all of the interesting ones anyway, and I could have it as a motorcycle race. I'm almost tempted to do cars and bikes, but I don't think that would work. But yeah, so these are the 4 cars that I could have racing around here. Now, in due course, I'm going to have all the sort of red and white sort of checkered things on all of the corners, like here and here and here. I'm planning to have a racing bridge on, I think, this corner. I think will look really bold and prominent about there. And I'm also going to have a chicane in here. So basically bits sort of going into the road kind of from one side and then from the other. So they really have to weave around it. And then around where that crossing is, and around about here, I'm going to kind of block off the road, because that's where the roadblocks and the sort of people watching in the stands will be. So yeah, that's my idea for the racing thing. And then we'll probably need some sort of commentary stand, or maybe where they present the trophy or something. And because this is quite a large area here, I'm wondering if there'll be enough space there, which currently I've got lady pushing her baby in the pram, and we've also got a hamster in his ball going for a walk as well. So I don't know if it's their hamster, but anyway, I just found that again after buying at one of my brick calls and thought I'd incorporate it into today's scene. So anyway, yeah, I'm really loving the cobbled street. Like the idea of this racetrack developing around it. Got all my glow-in-the-dark lamps up, lampposts. So I'm going to put the pants building back in, and then we can focus on doing what I think is going to be the next job, getting some monorail track in while we can still reach. Building back, and it looks really good on this end. I mean, it kind of draws your eye in just having this cobbled street starting off here, and then you can peer past the clock, see the lamppost in the distance, and beyond that, other stuff. It'll be even better when we've got all the cobbles in. And it was this view that actually convinced Mrs. Hood that this was the best of the possible outcomes for arranging the modulars where we started and kind of finished last time. And even from coming into the Lego room, not only have we not got just the boring straight road all the way up, but the nice sort of racetrack element, but you can even see through all those buildings from this angle as well, which is absolutely lovely. So yeah, that looks really, really good. I'm very happy with that. And if we look up like that, can we see the platform? Kinda. Anyway, that'll look good from train cam, as I said. Cool. So yeah, this side is starting to shape up. Yeah, monorail definitely next while I can still reach. Well, doesn't time fly when you're having fun? It seems that we've got about 30 minutes of footage of me largely wittering and doing tile work all around the city in this new area. And videos don't do very well if they're over about that mark in length. It's much better to break it into 2 smaller videos. So that is what I will do. Continue doing this area and this work, just basically doing an edit and a release in between. So yeah, we've got a great deal of progress around the back, front and sides of all of these builds, and given it a lot more personality with some of the more minor details, but that really make the whole area look a lot more joined up. I think my criticism of some Lego cities is they look like basically rows of existing sets just standing next to each other. It's really good to incorporate things and have them kind of overlapping and intertwining to look a lot more natural and realistic, like a real city with a bit of a story and a journey involved as well. So yeah, that's what we're beginning here. It's just very time consuming, isn't it? So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing a brick haul, and then we'll be back here with all of that monorail goodness and facades. And well, we'll just have this area largely complete. I do need to fill that area in with something, otherwise it just won't look quite like it should. I've already ordered the additional parts that I need for the cobbled street, you'll be glad to hear. So yeah, really good times. So until next time, see you. Yeah, Van Gogh is cool. He needs to be very visible.